It's nothing unusual for someone to be on the terrace. After all, the view is wonderful both during the day and at night. The wind is very strong and cold. The man approaches the protective wall and turns to look all around, but there is no one. Then he climbs onto the wall and stands on it. The man looks into the abyss and takes a deep breath.
When did everything start to go wrong?
The man thinks, straining to remember.
It was when I started working in the company's management and that crazy woman, Ruth, thought she was my boss.
Indeed, Ruth wasn't the boss, but she had the president's favor, being someone very close to him with power and influence. Just thinking about her makes the reflux rise to his throat. Bad feelings and despair consume a little more of his life, and the man's feet move forward a few more centimeters, closer to his release. At first, it seemed like she was just acting like his boss and assigning many tasks, but as the days passed, the tasks increased to the point where it was impossible to complete everything in one day. So he was always busy and working, but sometimes when he looked up, he realized that everyone else in the office wasn't doing anything, no work at all. Often the place was empty and very quiet with only him working. Of course, he knew the situation would change because tasks were piling up, and soon the complaints about mistakes and delayed work would start. Only those who don't want to see won't see, so the price will be paid, but the question is by whom? The president got upset because one of the tasks wasn't ready and went to the man's desk with disheveled hair. He grabbed a sandwich that was on the desk and threw it in the trash.
This is not a place to eat.
I'm sorry, but I don't have time to go eat. If I don't eat here, I'll end up not eating anything, just like I have on all the past days.
Of course, the president's irritation with the unexpected response then leads him to ask about the delayed work. Again, the man in the rumpled suit and showing signs of exhaustion apologizes, promising to finish by the next day. Even more annoyed, the president asks what could be so important that he couldn't stop to attend to his request.
Sir, it's the review and the report of the entire company's workflow.
This is not your work. It's Ruth's. I asked her and her team to handle it.
She requested urgency, and I realized it was a lot of work. I started immediately, but it's too much.
Forget about this and do what I asked you. If Ruth questions you, tell her I want to speak with her.
The wind grows even colder, and remembering these things brings pain, but he has lived with the pain for a long time, so it doesn't matter. As soon as Ruth arrives, she goes to the man and notices he is working on something else. Annoyed, the woman who sees herself as politically correct shouts that he was supposed to be doing the work she assigned, not this one. The man then asks,
If the president personally asks me to do something, who do you expect me to obey? By the way, the president asked you to go speak with him.
If I get a reprimand because of your actions, I will make your life a living hell.
They say that when you look into the abyss looks back at you. I say that when you look into the abyss, it invites you, and that is very frightening. Leaving the president's office, Ruth heads straight to the middle-aged man's desk.
You won.
Did I win?
Days later, the president calls the man and says,
You've been accused of harassment. Ruth said you committed sexual abuse and assault. So, you're fired.
Am I not going to be able to defend myself?
You have no defense. The victim has already reported you.
I didn't do anything.
It doesn't matter what you say. Leave. I don't want an abuser here.
Accused of abusing a coworker, the consequences are disastrous. At work, he was pointed out by everyone and fired. At home, everyone was curious to know why the sad man was fired. How to explain something like this? How to explain that he was a victim of persecution and accused unjustly? Will anyone believe it? His wife discovers the accusations.
Were you fired for rape? This is unacceptable. Oh, what a shame I went through. I went to look for the truth at your company, but they told me that you raped a woman.
I was not accused of rape, but of abuse, and I am innocent of everything.
Innocent? What is the difference between abuse and rape? No difference. What hate?
I didn't do anything. Believe me.
Whether you're believed or not doesn't make a difference. If you're innocent, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to stay married to a rapist. Pack your things and leave.
His wife points to the door. With nowhere else to go, he first stayed in a cheap hotel, But with little money, he couldn't continue staying in hotels, even cheap ones, so he ended up living on the street, but still had a place to lie down at night. Adjusted to his new life, the man was resigned and knew he could never return to his previous life, despite having studied so much, and he also wouldn't have his family back. The shelter staff treated him well, and he had privileges for doing small tasks daily. The man smiled at the edge of the ledge as he remembered the months at the shelter. One morning, the man leaves the shelter with a smile on his face, and suddenly, his tormentor Ruth is in front of him.
So this is where you've been. It's been a while and you seem happy.
The man's smile fades and he doesn't say anything.
Let's resolve this.
Ruth then goes into the shelter. Sliding down with his back against the wall, he sits on the floor. Sliding down with his back against the wall, he sits on the floor. Feeling lonely isn't so bad for him, but losing a bit of the comfort that place brought. Yes, this is very sad because it's the only thing left. He feels useful and respected, but this woman is back to take away a bit more. It doesn't take long for two staff members to come outside and see the man sitting on the ground. Believing the treatment would be the same as before, he didn't run away, but this time he is nothing. On the ledge, the man's eyes lose their sparkle. The two staff members, without asking anything, start beating the man until he is unconscious. In the following days, at an emergency room, he receives the necessary treatment but no medication to ease the pain, and, handcuffed to the stretcher, he receives little attention. Then, days later, a doctor examines him. He is discharged, but the police take him to the station and lock him in a dark, damp cell.
I was forgotten in that place. It was a tough time, and it was there that I wished for death, but it never came to visit me.
Many times, Ruth would visit the man in the cell to remind him that she was the one who put him in jail. Of course, the visits brought terrible consequences. Usually a beating and days without food. Years go by, and very thin and debilitated, he receives a visit from a judge.
Why are you in prison?
Asks the judge, and a police officer tries to answer for the man, but is stopped.
I was never informed.
We have nothing on your imprisonment. Can you tell us why you are in prison?
So the man tells everything that happened without hiding anything.
Very well. Now it's official. You will face charges of rape and harassment against Ruth.
It makes no difference to me. I'm already in prison. I've already been judged and served the sentence.
Remembering the trial, the man smiles because he was acquitted, but Ruth, who caused so much harm, walked out with her head held high.
Now I am free, but I am still serving the sentence.
The man pushes forward. 30 seconds to the end.
Just 30 more seconds and peace.
The building is the location of the man's former workplace, where everything began. Being on top of this building was a deliberate choice. After the trial, Ruth lost her status at the company where she works, but not her arrogance. At the same moment the man is on top of the building, Ruth is heading down to get her car from the parking lot, and in those 30 seconds she starts the vehicle and heads for the exit. 20 seconds remaining.
With everything that's happening, I still love life, but it's very difficult to move forward.
Ruth is waiting for the gate to open. Last 10 seconds.
Oh my God, what have I done? I regret it. I want to live.
Ruth drives onto the sidewalk with her convertible and stops, waiting for the traffic. By instinct, she looks up and sees the man falling onto her. End of time. The man, moments after the fall, opens his eyes and feels a lot of pain, realizing that he has fallen into a car. He then looks to the side and sees Ruth taking her last breath.
Finally, it's over.